A chill has settled over New England. It's not the lingering winter frost, but a fear that creeps in with the evening news. 7 bodies in 3 months. Whispers of a serial killer are growing louder. Is a predator stalking the quiet towns and bustling cities of this region? Or is this a string of tragic coincidences? The discovery of the first body in early March 2025 set off alarm bells. A woman's body, later identified as Paige Fannin, was pulled from the Norwalk River in Connecticut. Fannin, 35, had vanished weeks earlier. As weeks passed, more bodies surfaced, scattered across Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Each discovery added fuel to the fire of speculation. The news spread like wildfire, igniting fear and uncertainty. Residents, once accustomed to the tranquility of New England life, now looked over their shoulders, wondering if a killer walked among them. The thought sent shivers down their spines. Was this the beginning of another nightmare? A chilling echo of New England's dark past? The chilling discoveries began on March 6, 2025. That's when Paige Fannin's body was found in Norwalk, Connecticut. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Just days later, a gruesome find in Plymouth, Massachusetts, added to the growing unease. The top half of a human skull was discovered, its identity still a mystery. As March progressed, so did the body count. On March 19th, a suitcase containing the remains of an unidentified woman was found near a cemetery in Groton, Connecticut. The woman, estimated to be between 40 and 60 years old, became another piece in a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. On March 20th, the body of Denise Leary, a 59-year-old woman who had disappeared in September 2024, was found in a wooded area in New Haven, Connecticut. The trail of bodies continued into April. Michelle Romano, 56, who went missing in the fall of 2024, was found dead in a wooded area in Foster, Rhode Island on March 26. Her death was deemed suspicious. On April 9th, unidentified remains were found in Killingly, Connecticut. And on April 16th, the body of a man was pulled from the Woonasquatucket River in Providence, Rhode Island. Behind the headlines and the growing fear are the faces of the victims. These weren't just statistics. They were mothers, daughters, sisters, friends. Paige Fannin, the first victim discovered, was a beloved member of her community. Her disappearance had left a void that was now filled with grief and unanswered questions. Denise Leary, whose remains were found in New Haven, had been missing for months. Her family had clung to hope, but as time passed, that hope dwindled. Now, they were left to grapple with the devastating reality of her death. Michelle Romano, found dead in Rhode Island, was remembered by loved ones as a kind and gentle soul. Her suspicious death only deepened the mystery surrounding the string of bodies found across the region. The identities of the other victims remained unknown, their stories yet to be told. The string of discoveries has cast a pall over New England. The once familiar landscapes, from the rocky shores to the quaint towns, now seem different, tainted by an undercurrent of fear. The proximity of the discoveries, all within a few hours' drive of each other, has only heightened the anxiety. The unknown is often the most terrifying, and in this case, the unknown loomed large. Who were these victims? How did they die? And most importantly, was there a connection between their deaths? The questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered, fueling the flames of speculation and dread. Rumors and speculation spread like wildfire, fueled by social media and word of mouth. Theories ranged from the plausible to the outlandish, each adding to the sense of unease. The fear was palpable, a dark cloud hanging over the region. While the public grappled with fear and uncertainty, law enforcement agencies maintained a steady silence. Their message was clear. There was no evidence to suggest a serial killer was on the loose. The deaths, they insisted, were isolated incidents, unrelated tragedies. But their reassurances did little to quell the growing unease. The lack of information, the seemingly random nature of the discoveries, and the sheer number of bodies found in such a short period all pointed to a different narrative. The official silence only amplified the public's fears. Residents expressed frustration with the lack of transparency. They demanded answers, seeking reassurance that their safety was a priority. But the answers were slow to come, and the reassurances, when they did come, rung hollow in the face of mounting fear. For many in New England, the recent discoveries brought back chilling memories of the New Bedford Highway serial killer case. In the late 1980s, the region was gripped by terror as the bodies of young women, many of them struggling with addiction, began turning up along highways in and around New Bedford, Massachusetts. The case remained unsolved for years, leaving a scar on the community and serving as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. The similarities between the current case and the New Bedford murders, though not definitive, were impossible to ignore. The echoes of the past resonated deeply with those who remembered the fear and uncertainty of that time. The current situation, though still developing, had reawakened old anxieties, reminding everyone that evil could strike anywhere, at any time. In the absence of concrete answers from authorities, the public turned to the digital world for information and a sense of community. Social media platforms became hotbeds of speculation, with amateur sleuths dissecting every detail of the case, sharing theories, and searching for connections. One Facebook group, New England SK, gained significant traction, attracting thousands of members eager to discuss the case and share their findings. While some dismissed the online chatter as baseless speculation, others believed that the collective power of the internet could help crack the case. The digital detectives scoured news reports, social media profiles, and online databases, searching for any shred of evidence that might connect the victims or provide clues about the killer's identity. They shared maps, timelines, and composite sketches, determined to piece together the puzzle that had so far eluded law enforcement. As the investigations continued, the central question remained: was a serial killer stalking the Northeast? Law enforcement agencies, while acknowledging the public's concerns, maintained their stance that there was no evidence to support that theory. But for many, the lack of a definitive answer only fueled their suspicions. The geographic proximity of the discoveries, the seemingly random nature of the victims, and the fact that several of the cases involved missing persons all contributed to the sense of unease. And while authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle, the public was left to grapple with the uncertainty. The lack of answers weighed heavily on the minds of New England residents. They yearned for a resolution, for an arrest that would bring closure and a sense of justice. But for now, they were left to wait, to hope, and to live with the unsettling possibility that a killer walked among them. As the investigations into the 7 bodies continued, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The lack of concrete answers and the chilling possibility of a serial killer on the loose left residents on edge. In the face of uncertainty, law enforcement urged the public to remain vigilant. They advised people to be aware of their surroundings, to avoid walking alone at night, and to report any suspicious activity. They stressed the importance of personal safety and encouraged residents to take precautions. The message was clear: while the investigation was ongoing, it was up to each individual to prioritize their safety and to be proactive in protecting themselves and their loved ones. The shadow of fear might have fallen over New England, but so too had a renewed sense of community and a shared determination to face the unknown together.
Welcome to True Crime Tuesday with your host, me, Feminine and Fierce. Tonight we talk about the remains that have been found in New England over the past few months. Coincidence or serial killer on the loose? Check it out.
In the last 2 months, 7 bodies have been found around New England. And while law enforcement is not connecting the cases, people online have other ideas. Boston 25 News reporter Bob Ward joins us live in Brockton. Bob, the talk is getting loud enough for police to address these rumors.
Rachel, you know, more and more people online are paying attention to this. They are concerned that some or all of these cases might be connected and that a serial killer might be striking in New England.
In some corners of social media, like Facebook, the idea that a serial killer could be on the prowl in New England is getting more popular. This Facebook group, New England SK, has nearly 9,000 members. And in other forums, people are posting their concern that some or all of the bodies recently found in New England might be connected to each other. Since the beginning of March, 7 bodies have turned up in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Some of the bodies are unidentified remains. The bodies discovered in Groton and Killingly, Connecticut, are close to a Rhode Island case. So far, law enforcement is not connecting the cases. However, The talk online has grown so loud that recently Groton, Connecticut police issued a statement that said in part, regarding references circulating on social media about incidents in the state of Rhode Island, we currently have no information connecting those events to any of the incidents in Groton. Here in Massachusetts, the discovery of a human skull in Plymouth and another set of remains in Framingham is also being looked at. In the late 1980s, a serial killer struck the New Bedford area. 9 women murdered, 2 missing. Author Maureen Boyle covered the case at the time and wrote a book about it. She is skeptical that a new serial killer might be at work right now.
Just because you have bodies found in a variety of places in New England, that does not mean that there's a serial killer on the loose in the area.
Boyle is concerned that online speculation can hurt people.
This is not a game. These involve real people. These involve real families. This is serious business.
I checked on the 2 Massachusetts cases. On that body that was found in Framingham recently, the district attorney's office is saying a case is under investigation, but it does not appear that person was a victim of foul play. Now, as for the remains of the human skull that was found in the woods of Plymouth, the Plymouth County DA's office says that case remains under investigation.
Jake End in the search for a missing Warwick woman. I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. Officials have identified the human remains found in Foster last week as 56-year-old Michelle Romano.
Her family first reported her missing over the summer, and now the investigation continues into how she died. Lauren Brill joins us now with what we know so far.
Well, it's unclear how Michelle Romano died, but police believe her death is suspicious. Now, we're working to learn more information, but officials have told us that her last known address is here on Hazard Avenue in Warwick. Days after investigators discovered the body of a woman in Foster, officials have released her identity. Rhode Island State Police have identified the remains as 56-year-old Michelle Romano. Our cameras captured police on Plainfield Pike late last Wednesday, continuing their investigation the next day. Officials had part of the wooded area blocked off, collecting evidence and searching the area with canines. State police tell us Romano was first reported missing to Warwick police by a family member back in August. Her last known address was on Hazard Avenue. Now, Warwick and State Police, along with the Attorney General's office, are investigating. Now, Rhode Island State Police are asking anyone with information that could help their investigation to contact their tip line. We have that number over on WPRI.com.
On a disturbing discovery in Killington, Connecticut. That's right over the Rhode Island line.
We're talking about the 3rd confirmed case of human remains discovered relatively close to one another. Tonight, team's Sam Reed is live in Connecticut at State Police Barracks with more. Sam?
Dan Patrice, Connecticut State Police tell me this investigation actually started yesterday afternoon when human remains were discovered along Woodward Street. All day Thursday, residents near Woodward Street in Killingly watched as they say investigators combed a wooded area near the Dead End Road. State Police confirming tonight around 4:30 Wednesday afternoon, human remains were found in the area.
I've lived here, like I said, 15 years here. Over 20 years in the town, nothing like this.
The Eastern District Major Crimes Unit and dozens of law enforcement officers blocked off the potential crime scene. The remains have not yet been identified or the cause of death.
I think it's something weird that happened like that with a homeless.
Others thinking otherwise. This marks the 3rd case of human remains found in recent weeks, all within a 30-mile radius of one another.
It's crazy. I didn't know it was this close. I had heard about some of the other ones from friends, and honestly, I was hoping that it was just one of those crazy myths that you hear about.
A little more than 2 weeks ago, along Plainfield Pike in Foster, Rhode Island, just 10 miles from tonight's scene, the remains of Michelle Romano were found on the side of the road. She went missing out of Warwick. Rhode Island State Police are calling her death suspicious. They're now asking for the public's help to look at things like trail and dash cameras as well as drones.
It definitely seems a little too coincidental. It seems like, I don't know, your just mind goes to right to that it's got to be a pattern.
About 3 weeks ago, unidentified remains were found outside of a cemetery in Groton, Connecticut. That, too, at last check, is still an active investigation. With the news of all 3 cases in recent headlines, some residents are uneasy.
I mean, it is kind of scary when you think about it, but I think we'll be safe.
With investigators on scene in Killingly for what residents say was nearly 24 hours, the timetable alone may raise red flags.
I would hope that maybe that they were here that long because they were making sure that they were dotting their I's, crossing their T's, stuff like that.
Now, there is no confirmation that any of these cases are related. We are expected to receive more information from police regarding their investigations in coming days.
Happening now, Rhode Island State Police continue to search a home in the Oakland Beach section of Warwick,
where the woman found dead in Foster may have gone missing from in August. NBC 10's Molly Levine live in Warwick, where authorities have been all day, but aren't saying much tonight. Molly.
That's exactly right. Gene and Patrice, State Police remaining tight-lipped tonight about the investigation, but you can see they're still going in and out of the home behind me on Hazard Avenue, trying to pin down what exactly happened to Michelle Romano.
Very shocking.
Seems to be the sentiment from most residents and neighbors as investigators continue to search this home at 112 Hazard Avenue, the last known address of 56-year-old Michelle Romano.
I heard it yesterday on the news that they found the remains in Foster.
Her remains discovered in a vacant lot along Route 14 in Foster last week. Investigators are now working to figure out how they got there and who's responsible.
What people could be capable of, you never know.
Tonight we're learning more about Michelle. A director at West Bay RI tells me she once worked here for about 10 years until around 2005. West Bay RI provides support and services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities across Rhode Island. Michelle's family says they're still processing the news, asking for privacy and prayers. But they launched a Facebook page after she went missing, desperately trying to find her. Friends and colleagues leaving comments saying they'll never forget Michelle. Close neighbors didn't want to comment on the situation, but Bruce Martell, who belongs to the nearby boat club, says all of this is unusual for the normally quiet Oakland Beach neighborhood and hopes the family gets justice for Michelle.
Being so close down here to the boat club, it was just very shocking. When I came down here yesterday, I saw all the police cars and everything, but very unusual. Whatever information that you would have, try to help out in the investigation.
Yeah, anyone with information should contact Rhode Island State Police, and I did try reaching out to them for an update on the investigation. They can't comment on it.
Recently found what may be a human skull in the woods of Plymouth, and now these families are left waiting to find out if it could be their loved one that was located. Boston 25 News reporter Bob Ward is live in Plymouth. Bob, you've covered both of these cases for years. You can only imagine what a painful time this is for those families.
Carrie, it really is a brutal time for both of these families. Now they're hearing about the discovery of a human skull in the woods here along Route 3 in Plymouth. And for both families, they're just holding their breath, waiting for news. Sandra Crispo of Hanson, Brittany McCormick of Hanover, two South Shore women who vanished without a trace years ago. Their cases back in the spotlight after what appears to be a human skull was recovered in early March in woods off Route 3 in Plymouth. According to police reports, a man found the small, discolored and jawless skull on March 6th while looking for deer antler. Late last week, law enforcement returned to the woods looking for more evidence. Has anyone in law enforcement talked to you about this?
I haven't talked to anybody.
Lena McMahon is the daughter of Sandra Crispo. She disappeared from her home in Hanson 5 years ago. Do you think this could be your mother?
I'm not sure, Bob. Obviously, anytime remains are discovered, the scenario runs through your mind, the what ifs, could it be? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm always hopeful for resolution one day, and we just have to maintain positivity and keep the faith that she will be found.
And it's very overwhelming. It's still a lot to process.
Summer McCormick is the sister of Brittany McCormick. She was last seen on July 6, 2021, visiting her mother's house. Police have searched for Brittany. Her family now offering thousands of dollars in reward money, but there's no sign of Brittany. News of the skull's discovery bringing mixed emotion.
I do, hopefully have my fingers crossed. It's not the greatest feeling in the world. I've came to the conclusion that it is most likely a definite possibility that I'm probably never going to see my sister again. But it also, I still have hope. I really hope that my mom ends up with closure.
Well, the skull that was found here in the woods of Plymouth have been sent out for analysis and hopefully identification as well. Now, we have some information about those new rewards that are being offered in the McCormick case. We have that up on our website at boston25news.com.
Was 7 months pregnant when she was attacked by the Connecticut River Valley serial killer. She was stabbed 27 times and miraculously lived to tell about it. It happened in Swansea, New Hampshire in 1988, and it happened after 7 women were found stabbed to death in the same area. All were victims of the same man, and Jane is believed to be his only survivor. She now hosts the podcast Invisible Tears, and she is here with me now live. First of all, my goodness, Jane, I'm so glad that you're here with me, and I cannot believe that you survived 27 stab wounds. I want to ask you about that in a moment, but first, what are your thoughts about the story I presented with 7 sets of remains and officials saying nothing to see here?
I find it suspicious. For first, I came across it online about a month ago, and then I started doing some research, and I'm like, this is awful suspicious. It just didn't sound right that they weren't connected, and the law enforcement was just so adamant about, all these cases not being suspicious. It just didn't sound right to me.
You have such a stake in a story like this, and I want to ask you, what is the responsibility here between law enforcement not creating panic and yet law enforcement making sure that people like you and I are safe when we're out and about?
I think if they come forward and are honest that there may be some suspicious activity going on, I don't think that's going to spread panic. But what I think it will do is make people more vigilant. Like, make sure they do the buddy system when they're going jogging or going for walks, or letting somebody know where they are at all times. I think it's about keeping yourself safe. And so as far as them saying, well, they're afraid to, spread fear, I think the opposite. I think they should be letting people know that, you need to be, more aware of your surroundings and be safe.
Yeah, and they should talk to you because, my God, your attack, 27 stab wounds at the hand of the Connecticut River Valley serial killer, and it is still unsolved, Jane. I didn't realize that. That person is still out there. Actually, let me ask you, do you think that person is still out there, or do you think that person may be dead by now?
I don't know. Supposedly I'm the last one that he attacked. I'm the only survivor. And I don't know if he's still around, if maybe he's incarcerated, or maybe he's dead, or I don't know. I don't know if he's still around or not. I really have no idea.
We've been putting up 2 of these images. To me, they look very different. Is there one of these 2 images that looks more like the man that you remember, or how is your memory after such a horrifying attack?
The one on the left is the actual composite that I did. The one on the right is something totally different, but the one on the left is definitely the composite that I did.
Yeah, because the one on the right looks completely different. The hairline looks different. Everything looks different. Maybe it was the police trying to suggest maybe this is what he looks like if he's got a wig or glasses on. But can I ask you, how on earth did you survive 27 stab wounds?
I was pregnant. I was 7 months pregnant. And I truly believe I survived because of my daughter. My daughter wanted to live. Wow. So it gave me the strength to live. I was 22 years old, 7 months pregnant. I went to a fair, county fair in Swansea, New Hampshire. Heading home, I decided to stop at a store that was closed to get a soda out of a soda machine. And evil stepped into my life, pretty much. While I was sitting in my car, this vehicle pulled in and parked beside me. And he came to my car door and tried to pull me out of my car. I fought, resisted, screamed, and he eventually took a knife out. And so I got out of the car, and he held the knife up against my neck. He was kind of confusing. He kind of mentioned that I beat up his girlfriend, which absolutely didn't happen, and mentioned that my car was a Massachusetts car. I had Massachusetts plates, which it didn't. I had New Hampshire plates. he kind of walked away from me back to his vehicle. And when we were in the car and I was fighting him off me so I wouldn't go with him, I had kicked my windshield and shattered my windshield. So when he started walking away from me and walking to his vehicle, I was like, hey, what about my windshield? You know, I thought he confused me with somebody else. I had no idea that he was going to do with what he was going to do. And so the next thing I know, he came back around to me. Before I knew it, he put the knife up against my neck again. And I saw a vehicle coming down the road. So I knew in my mind the only way I was going to get out of that situation was to run to the road and scream. So I ran to the road and the car drove by. And the next thing I know, he had tackled me down on the ground from behind. And I was on my back on the ground and he got on top of me and proceeded to stab me. He stabbed me 27 times. I ended up having, he sliced my jugular in my neck. I had 2 collapsed lungs. He lacerated my liver, sliced a tendon in my thumb and a tendon in my knee. Do I think all these cases are connected? Maybe not, but it's unusual to have so many remains and so many bodies coming up in such a short amount of time. There's an enormous amount of missing people. So do I think that there's probably going to be more bodies found or more remains found? Absolutely. Who wouldn't think that? But my big thing is I don't want people to dismiss this or forget about it, because if the more it's talked about, then the authorities have more of a reason to investigate. But don't dismiss what's going on. And another thing I wanted to do and why I did it was so people would be more vigilant, especially women if they're jogging down trails or they're walking down trails or use the buddy system. Be more vigilant with your surroundings.